Bryan came out on Dynamite and he teased retirement, even though he won on Sunday. It was title versus career and he won, but he was teasing retirement. He said, it's time to go home, but not yet. He's going to continue to fight for that title and defend it, and when he loses it, that will mark the end of him as a full-time performer. He will be full-time so long as he is the AEW World Champion. So I give it another 5 weeks at the most. I give it until WrestleDream. Then he threw out the challenge to any young, hungry talent in the back who wants to try to take it from him. Which confirms, by the way, what we already knew, that the ranking system that Tony Khan reinstated earlier this year, something I told you would be a fail the minute he brought it back, is officially dead. There are still people, I will occasionally see people on Twitter, they'll tweet Tony, are the rankings still a thing? Can you give us an update on the rankings? What are the rankings, Tony? You can stop now. There are no rankings anymore. You know, it's one thing to do an open challenge for the TNT title, or like LA Knight right now on SmackDown is doing one for the US title. To do one for your world championship, there are no rankings. Jack Perry accepted his challenge. He came out from behind, he laid Bryan out in the middle of the ring, he stood there with his arms outstretched, TNT title in one hand, AEW World title in the other, like he was Brock Lesnar after he beat John Cena that one time at SummerSlam. If Brock Lesnar was shot by the laser beam from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, you would end up with Jack Perry. Would he have been my first choice? No. If Danielson is throwing out open challenges like that and we don't got to worry about who's in the rankings anymore, I would have preferred Nigel McGuinness step up and shoot his shot since he hates Bryan so much, and I thought Nigel looked great in that Casino Gauntlet match. First time he's been back in the ring since 2011. It's like he never left. But I don't hate it the way that other people do, this choice of Jack Perry, and it actually makes sense. You might not want to hear it, but it makes sense. Jack Perry is the TNT champion. That makes him number 2 in this company, and he wants to be the world champion. Jack Perry has a pinfall win over Bryan Danielson from Anarchy in the Arena. Bryan needs an opponent to beat in his first defense, which is only a week away. Well, now it's less than a week. That does not leave any time to build a real story. The story is already there with Perry pinning him before. And he'll get super heat with it being in Chicago. So I don't see what the problem is. This is not, building up Solo Sikoa for 2 months for a world championship match at SummerSlam that almost nobody wanted to see. This is Jack Perry in the main event of All Out on 10 days' notice. It's like ripping off a Band-Aid. You rip it off quickly, it'll be painless, and it'll be on to the next one, which is Darby Allin at Grand Slam. But don't forget, Christian Cage, he won the Casino Gauntlet match, which gives him a guaranteed shot at the AEW World title. And they are utilizing, it sounds like they're utilizing Money in the Bank rules for it this time, where he can cash in for his shot at any time. So you've got Christian lurking in the shadows, and given how slimy his character is, I don't see him calling his shot in advance. I don't see him coming out and saying, hey, you know what? Bryan Danielson, I want to challenge you in a month at WrestleDream. Like, it's not going to work that way. When the time is right, he's going to slither in, and he's going to try to win that title. I honestly don't know when he may cash in. It could be All Out. It could be Grand Slam. I'm not even sure he's going to win. But as far as when he attempts to cash in his shot, I don't know. I don't think Danielson loses that title before WrestleDream. Maybe there. I don't know. But let's run through this All Out card for Saturday, because we've already got 6 matches official for this show, which is basically a full card. Not in AEW, it's not. They'll probably add more. Well, probably. Of course they're going to add more. But I would add 1 or 2 more on TV this week, and then they'll be rock solid. I really don't think they need more than that. But of the 6 we know of, Willow Nightingale defends her CMLL Women's World Championship against Chris Statlander in a Chicago street fight. Statlander pinned Willow in an eliminator to earn the shot. Willow and Tomohiro Ishii beat Statlander and Stokely Hathaway on the pre-show last Sunday to earn the right for Willow to pick the stip. She chose street fight. I like both of these women. I think it's going to be a hard-hitting match, very physical, and I think Willow retains her CMLL title. MJF steps into the ring against Daniel Garcia. Garcia returned it all in during MJF's match. He stopped him from using a foreign object, not the Dynamite Diamond ring, because the ring was legitimately either stolen or misplaced, which is why they had Garcia concoct that story on TV about pawning it in Buffalo so that he could fly himself to London. What is Tony Khan paying this man that he has to even do that? The question I think needs to be asked. Then on Dynamite, he was just, Garcia was full of fire and rage when he went after MJF. He challenged him to this match. He said, making Max's life miserable is his fetish. You keep your fetishes to yourself, buddy. Okay? If he really has not signed a new contract yet with the company, then he should lose. Even if he has signed a new contract with the company, he should still lose. MJF should not be losing back-to-back matches in the span of 2 weeks. If Garcia has signed a new deal and you want to try to make a new star and Tony Khan is serious about giving this kid a push, great. You have MJF win here and you play this out until Wrestle Dream. You play this out until Full Gear and he can win there. For now, I've got MJF winning on this show. Mercedes Moné defends her TBS championship against Hikaru Shida after Shida won a 4-way match on Collision last night to earn the shot. Scariest thing I saw all weekend was Thunder Rosa nearly breaking her fucking neck on a Deeb tox by Serena Deeb. She tucked her head on the landing. I have no idea why. Thankfully, she got her foot out in time on the landing to sort of cushion the blow on her neck, or else that would have ended very badly. You remember when Yoshitatsu got his neck broken on the Styles Clash? I think it was on a New Japan show. Dude was in a halo for months. He had 4 holes drilled into his skull. He was tweeting about bleeding out of 2 of them in the middle of the night. Horrifying. I still haven't forgotten about that. You're not supposed to tuck your chin like that. There's no story here. She just became #1 contender last night. So, I mean, how much of a story could there be? I saw that Mercedes, I didn't see the match, but I did see that she had a great match with Momo Watanabe at the New Japan show on Friday night for her New Japan Strong title. She's had other great matches too, Mercedes has. Her match with Britt Baker last Sunday was not one of them. I wonder what the common denominator here is. That's better left in the past. I expect her and Shida to have a really good match. Mercedes is not losing that title. Will Ospreay defends the International Championship that he just won back against the Bastard Pac. This is going to be a fantastic spectacle of a match. I'm sure also very polarizing, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing what these two do in the ring together. I want to say they've had one other match before on the Indies a number of years ago, so not a ton of history there, but these are 2 fantastic in-ring performers. Will Ospreay is, I think, the best in the world, and Pac is no slouch himself. So they're going to have a great match, but we're not getting a title change. And Pac just won the Trios titles with Claudio and Wheeler Yuta, so he's already 1/3 of the Trios champs. He's not walking out with the international title. What they did do on Dynamite on Wednesday, though, Ricochet had his first singles match against Kyle Fletcher, who had a match. I have to say this. He had a match. I watched Collision. I actually watched Collision last night. And I had dinner. It was after the Bash in Berlin stream, and I had a late dinner. And I was stuffed. I didn't want to move. I was stuck. So I said, let's watch Collision. So I watched Collision. There's one reason to watch Collision. So I watched Collision. And I'm watching Ishii against Kyle Fletcher, and they start this match, and they just start firing off forearms. And we've seen this a gazillion times. We see it with forearms. We see it with chops. We've seen it with Ishii. We've seen it with Minoru Suzuki. We see it with other talent too. And they go back and forth, and they're no selling it. And they're just throwing, forearms back and forth like nothing. I thought it would never fucking end. It was the longest sequence of just throwing random shots at each other and no selling it that I've ever seen in my life. And I just kept waiting for Kyle Fletcher to start selling it and start getting woozy on his legs. But I shit you not, this was just going back and forth, never ending. And I'm like, what is this? What is this? This is supposed to be entertaining? What the fuck am I watching here? This is where this shit jumped the shark for me. So whatever they were trying to do there, it didn't work for me. And I just mentally checked out for the rest of the match. Then FTR had a match on this show. and they picked up the win. And then the grizzled young veterans came out and attacked them after the match, as they did at Wembley. And they attacked them, and they gave Dax Harwood a high-low. This was the worst high-low I have ever seen in my life. I certainly hope they're not going to incorporate that into more of their matches, because if they do, that's a bad idea. If they're gonna pull it off the way they did here, it was almost like they didn't want to touch him. They touched him in the lightest way possible. It looked horrible. So I'm watching some of this stuff, and I'm like, you know what? I'm starting to realize why I don't really watch Collision on a weekly basis anymore. And then, of course, I mentioned the four-way match, which had Thunder Rosa almost break her neck, so it was quite the night. But at least the streak of injuries on Collision came to an end. Remember we went through that period of like 4 straight weeks of people getting hurt on the show? Sky Blue got hurt, and Dalton Castle got hurt, and like 1 or 2 other people got legitimately injured. At least that streak is over for now. But to go back to this, Ricochet wrestled Kyle Fletcher on Dynamite. Technically, it was the main event. They didn't close the show with it, but it was the last match on the show. So he got to main event his first night in on Dynamite. And then Will Ospreay came out on stage. So it was like, boy, we're going right to Final Jeopardy here. Tony Khan's not wasting any time. And before Will could say a word, Pac attacked him from behind, gave him a poison rana on the stage. And Pac welcomed Ricochet to AEW and told him, get to the back of the line. And then he went to the back, and Ricochet went up to the stage to go check on Will. So I'm not expecting Ricochet to be involved in this match, but I do wonder, are they going to go to Will Ospreay and Ricochet this quickly? Because it kind of feels like that's the plan here. So I'm wondering if we might get that match at Grand Slam or Wrestle Dream. And then maybe we'll end up with a 3-way after that. Imagine Will Ospreay, Ricochet, and Pac in the ring all at the same time. That'd be something. And then Bryan Danielson defends the AEW World Championship against the TNT champion, Jack Perry. Again, I just talked about this. I don't mind it. It's not my first choice, but the way people are hating on this, dude, again, they had a week to promote this fucking show. It's ridiculous that they have 2 weeks between them. At least we had 2 weeks. Last year it was 1 week. But on short notice, to get somebody in there for Bryan to beat, somebody who is going to get a ton of heat in Chicago, it's fine. Bryan Danielson is going to win. He is going to successfully defend his title against Jack Perry. And in the match that I think should main event the show, this is the real main event for All Out. Swerve Strickland challenges Hangman Adam Page inside a steel cage. This is a tricky one, because Swerve winning and then getting a rematch with Danielson at Wrestle Dream, to me, is the most obvious way to go if they want to get the belt back on Swerve. And Hangman loses yet again to Swerve, because he just can't beat this man no matter what he does. But how long is he supposed to go around doing this unhinged character for? Like, at some point, the man has to win. There has to be a payoff for him to all of this madness. He has never beaten Swerve before. He lost to him at Wrestle Dream. He lost to him in the Texas Death Match at Full Gear. He submitted in the 3-way match for the title at Revolution just so Swerve wouldn't win. Right? And look at what he's done since he's come back. He failed in the Owen Hart tournament. His team lost in Blood and Guts. He lost in the Casino Gauntlet last Sunday, which was tailor-made for him to win. I think he's finally getting back in the win column. I think he's finally going to exercise his demons. He's going to finally notch that first win over Swerve Strickland. I think Hangman wins the cage match. Because this is not the end for these two. Even after this, they're not done. What if Hangman wins here, goes on to challenge Bryan Danielson for the title at Wrestle Dream, wins the championship, and to get his belt back, Swerve has to chase. It's no longer Hangman, as obsessed as he is, chasing after Swerve. Now the shoe's on the other foot. Swerve has to chase and beat Hangman to get his belt back. It doesn't even need to be Bryan and Hangman one-on-one on that show. It may well end up being a 4-way match on that show with Darby and Swerve thrown in there as well. Get all the Washington State guys involved in the main event. Darby has got a title match coming up at Grand Slam, but he's also got Jon Moxley searching for him now for some reason. We may not even get a clean finish to that match. Darby could very well end up in that Wrestle Dream main event also. But Hangman wins the title there, either way. And again, Swerve needs to take it from him if he wants to get his belt back. Hangman needs this win more than Swerve does. I think he gets the win, and I think they should close the show with it.